Back with us is Barry Habib, an expert contributor on Fox News, on CNBC. And Barry, now you're working on a MBS Highway. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that's all about, buddy, because I think it's imperative to not just us, but anybody who can get this great information from you.
Well, thank you. We're every morning doing a video that you know about, and we'll have live bond pricing and forecasting rates and talking about the housing market and really try to help the mortgage and real estate industry have an easy way to break down the vast amount of information that's out there and turn it into knowledge that they can use to help their customers.
You're so humble. He said that's just like, oh, it's just going to help you with this. Barry single-handedly changed our industry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you that he legitimately changed my life because he actually informed us of what we really need to know. Before, when inflation numbers came out or GDP numbers or any of these numbers, there's VAT. Barry, what other 50 or so, economic indicators that come out? You have been teaching us what they mean to us and what it means for the future of interest rates and the economy in general.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Speaking of interest rates and real estate, I really do think that this is a very opportune time in the real estate market. I've been saying that for the past year and talking about it on CNBC as my pick for a turnaround for at the beginning of last year for real estate. And it is, I think, still in its infancy. We've seen real estate prices rise over the past year about 10%. I expect a replay of that. And that has a lot of implications because if you think about it, if you put 20% down on a home, or even 10% down on a home, if the home price rises by 10% over the course of a year, that's a 100% return on your investment if you put down 10%. It's 50% return on your investment if you put down 20% on the home. And there's not a lot of places you can get a return like that, and by the way, live in the investment, get a tax deduction on the investment. It's really an opportune time to look at it. It's very favorable when you compare it to rents. And in addition to that, this trend will continue unless we get hit with something, unusual, but it will continue. And there's a lot of folks out there who have not been able to refinance because they've been underwater, meaning that the value of their home is actually less than the amount that they owe on it, or the amount that they owe isn't enough so that they can have that 20% equity in the property to enable them to do a refinance and take advantage of these unreal rates. But because home prices have gone up over the past year, and they'll probably continue to do so, I think during 2013, a lot of those individuals should double-check, speak to their mortgage professional, see where their value is, and perhaps be able to get a much lower mortgage payment because they're able to qualify now and are able to get these homes refinanced.
Wow, Barry. And that was Barry Habib telling you, I don't know if you were hearing that, but how to get a 50 to 100% return on investment in this marketplace, and it's through real estate. And that's why Dawn and I do the show. We believe in real estate. It's absolutely critical. And one of the things we're seeing here, Barry, that I think is interesting, and we've been seeing it now for maybe 2 years, and as a real estate investor myself, it's a funny thing to see cash flow in Los Angeles. Is things the same in the rest of the country? Are you seeing investors being able to pick up properties that actually cash flow?
Yes, you're 100% correct, and that's why purchasing a home is so advantageous, because when you compare it to the cost of renting, in many instances, it's actually cheaper to own the home without even considering the tax deduction. You throw the tax benefits in there, and it's significantly cheaper to own a home most of the time. Now, from an investor's point of view, you can lock in financing around 3%. You could put yourself in a mortgage today that is going to stay relatively the same. You could have some changes in what real estate taxes are. But when you compare that to what the cost of renting, or if you were to rent that property to someone, that rent, whether you raise rents every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years, that rent will continuously rise, whereas the payment will remain relatively stable and allow you to gain cash flow on top of the appreciation on the home.
Well, thank you for that, Barry. Again, Barry Habib with MBS Highway, Fox News, CNBC, sharing with you right here on Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. his opinions on what's going on in the market, these incredible opportunities. We talk about this all the time, Barry, and we urge our listeners and we urge you all the time to take action, because, Barry, what's nice is we heard you say the same thing we've been saying for a year. We called the bottom of the market basically about a year ago, saying now's the time to jump in. And
well, you guys nailed it. You guys were 100% correct, and you guys are very astute in the marketplace. And, one other just interesting thing to point out, speaking of, we mentioned refinancing, and I think people right now realize that rates are extraordinary, and it's not going to last forever. But one of the things that is being looked at is FHA, and maybe some changes to FHA. If you're looking to refinance a home, and if you have equity of, let's just say, 22%, so you borrow 78% or less, and if you can, it's a wise thing to consider a 15-year fix, you can take an FHA loan. Now, here's the thing. An FHA, well, you can take an FHA loan anywhere, but I think it's wise to look at an FHA loan for this reason particularly. The rate is about 0.25%, maybe even better than it would be if it were not an FHA loan. In addition to that, opposed to that interest rate savings, the negative of an FHA loan is you do have this tax that they put on FHA loans, this mortgage insurance premium, which you finance in. The cost of financing that in is about the same as the savings in the rate, so they wash each other out. So why would you take an FHA loan? Well, because the FHA loan is assumable. And if you sell your home 7, 8, 9 years down the road, and if rates are where many people, including myself, think they'll be, which is higher, and let's just pick a number and say they're at 7%, think about being able to give somebody an opportunity to purchase your home with a 3% mortgage while everybody else is paying 7%. You can either get more for your home, sell it more rapidly, negotiate with your real estate agent to perhaps get a better cost on listing that home because the home is an easy home to sell, and save on advertising, save time. It can be worth tens and tens of thousands of dollars simply by looking at some of these opportunities that exist.
Wow, that's great. You know what, Barry, thank you for bringing that up. We are going to ride that wave. I'm telling you, informing people about assumable loans. That's true, because if somebody can save hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a payment, they're not going to be worried about paying $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 more on a home, or making sure your home sells first, because you have this assumable loan where they can get an interest rate that could be 2 to 3% lower than the going market. So great information, Barry. I appreciate you sharing that with our listeners. That was really good.
And speaking of rates, I do want to say that I do think that 2013, first half of 2013, rates look great to me. I think they improve a little bit. But here's the thing. The second half of 2013 is a little cloudy. Depending on what happens, we could actually see a move up in rates. And then to go beyond that, 2014, it's tough. But I can tell you this. The further out we go, the more clear it looks that rates will be higher. That's for sure. But for now, buying a home, financing that home, refinancing, this is a gift, and people should take advantage of that during the next several months.
Thank you for that. And you were a gift being on our show. Barry Habib with MBS Highway, that's changing all our lives in our industry. Look for him on Fox News, CNBC. Barry, thank you for being part of our show. We'd love to have you back as soon as possible.
You bet, brother. Thanks for the great work that you guys are doing. I admire the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Barry, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, buddy.
Guys.
All right, and thank you for being part of our show.
Bye-bye.
And we thank you for being part of our show. We got to go, unfortunately. I hope you enjoyed the great information on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.